90 to 92. The Gerry Ryan Show, Monday to Friday, 9 till 12 on 2FM.
As you heard on the news, and we read out the story in the paper this morning, a young English man has had his finger ripped off in an absolutely horrific attack on Dublin's O'Connell Street just hours after the St. Patrick's Day parade passed through the capital's main thoroughfare. Guy Wallace was celebrating the festivities when a group of youths asked him where he was from. They set upon him then, and the 17-year-old had his finger literally ripped off in the attack. Gardaí searched the area, but they didn't find the missing finger. I suppose it could have been worse, but it's pretty bad when you think about it. He's been undergoing surgery in Dublin's Mater Hospital. He's in a taxi at the moment and heading to Dublin Airport to rejoin his family and indeed attend a plastics unit in the UK. Guy, good morning.
Good morning.
First of all, I don't know what to say. The embarrassment we all feel about this is huge.
I think I was very unlucky. I think it's not representative of the good spirit that was in the city at the time. I think it's a group of thugs who were out of control, and that's just where it was, I think.
I can imagine that the experience was very traumatic, and probably your recollection is quite hazy. But can you tell us what you do remember?
Well, I split up from my friends because I was going to the cash point, and I said to them, "I'll meet you later." Mm-hmm. And then I went off, and I was near O'Connell Street at the time, and I walked past a group of about five young men, and they asked me where I was from, and I said England, and I could see they were getting very aggressive. So I asked them not to hurt me, and before I knew it, they hit me in the eyes, sort of on the head, and I was on the floor on my side, so I couldn't see what happened. And then all I remember is having an excruciating pain in my right hand. And then when I stood up, they'd gone, and I was screaming for pain and help. And eventually, the Garda found me and took me to the hospital. And
Guy, I mean, to rip somebody's finger off, I mean, you're a rugby player. Even in the worst scrummage or maul of all time, you'd be hard pressed to have your finger ripped off. What did they do?
Well, my guess is they put it over a curb and stamped on it.
Oh, Jesus!
But the surgeon had a look at it and said it looked like a bite mark. But I can't believe that. I can't believe that.
No, in fact, I don't want to believe that, but I suppose anything is possible. Can you recall what these chaps looked like, even their age, or their sort of dress, or their garb?
They were young males. They're quite small, but they had quite old faces. Maybe 20s, maybe late teens, and sort of brown. I only remember the one guy who punched me. I don't remember anyone else. And
can you remember what they said, or were you able to understand their dialect?
They were very aggressive. They had a thick sort of Irish accent, and I couldn't. They were doing sort of speaking very quickly.
Was it a bit like this?
Exactly like that.
Okay, right. I thought so. Yes, I can imagine. Yeah. And the minute you hear that, and it's coming at you with a vengeance to attack you, you know you're in trouble. You must have planked yourself, did you?
Well, I was begging not to hurt. I offered them money. I said, please don't hurt me. But next thing I knew, I was on the floor. So.
Now, it's, this is the kind of thing that we do not want. I mean, if you lived in Birmingham or London or Glasgow, you wouldn't want this kind of story getting out either, for that matter.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, you came over here with your pals. I believe it was one of your chums, one of the lads' birthdays.
Yeah, my girl's 18th. My girlfriend of mine's 18th, yeah.
And so you were over here having a good time. Dublin can be a very welcoming city, and it can be...
Yeah, I've been to Dublin before, and I've really enjoyed it. It's a great place.
Now, what does this do to your impression of Dublin, of Ireland?
Well, I've been thinking about it, because I've been sitting in my ward thinking this over, and I think it could happen anywhere, really. It's not representative of the general spirit, and I think that's just the way it is.
Now, I know that you play for a local rugby club, and you were planning on joining one of the teams on a tour, I think, next week. What position do you play?
Second row, usually, yeah.
Second row without a little finger. How do you think that's going to work out?
I'm not sure. Catching the ball and passing the balls might be effective, but I've been doing research sort of into bionic fingers and things like that, so I might be able to get one of those. A
bionic finger?
So a prosthetic, yeah.
Well done. That's very quick work. I tell you, you're a man of some substance to be able to think like that.
grab a thread of hope as quick as possible.
No, you're absolutely right. Now, I heard your dad, a very conciliatory man, very reasoned, on the radio this morning, and he said you were a pianist. Is that a serious ambition of yours? Because once again, a finger's usually quite a handy thing to have.
Well, I didn't think I was going to become a concert pianist or anything, but I've always loved playing the piano since I was very young, and I like playing jazz and things like that. But I might still be able to play it. It's been more of a challenge now.
Yes, it certainly will be more of a challenge. Okay, well, you're heading back to the UK to the bosom of your family, and hopefully a bionic finger waiting for you somewhere down along the line.
There's one thing I would like to say is
go on.
Thank you so much to the hospital and the Garda and the police, and because the nurses and everyone on the ward was so kind and so helpful.
Now, your finger, of course, hasn't been found.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if those fellas have eaten it or something by this stage.
God.
But will you come back to us? Will you give us a second chance?
Definitely, yeah.
Good.
But, maybe not for a while. Maybe when I'm a bit more experienced and older, maybe.
Yeah, all right. And maybe taking a martial arts course as well.
Yeah.
Well, Guy Wallace, a speedy recovery and well done. You're a man of some substance and you'll be an even better man too, I believe, in years to come.
Definitely.
God bless you and good luck to you, son.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There now, wouldn't you be proud of that young fella? 17 years of age. What fantastic fortitude. No sense of, there's no aggression in his voice towards this city of ours, this capital city of ours. And almost an understanding or forgiveness there. I think we've a lot to learn from him. Do you know that? And wasn't it uplifting to hear that? I think it was. And wouldn't you be very proud of him if he was your son? Margaret, good morning to you.
Morning, Gerry.
You were listening. I'm good of all my fingers anyway. So that's a start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, unlike that poor young man there who was set upon by those thugs after the St. Patrick's Day parade, you were listening.
Yes. And Gerry, as I said to Lorraine earlier on, when you hear of what happened to that man in Belfast at the weekend.
Oh my God, yeah, wasn't that outrageous?
Yeah, really and truly, young people, I don't mean to sort of put them in a bracket all of their own, but there's certain young people do not appreciate what life is really about. The
dignity of the human character.
That's right.
They're they don't even have a sense of their own personal dignity, much less the others.
No, if you don't respect yourself, you'll have no respect for anybody else. And the boys that done that to that young lad, and as you say, I'll tell you one thing, I would be very proud to call him my son.
Oh, yes, so would I.
But the thugs, and that's been nice about them, that done what they done to that man in Belfast. I really don't know the full circumstances of it, with it being the weekend, the sinister thing, you weren't watching TV or reading.
Remind us of what happened in Belfast, just for those who don't know the story.
They went in and they beat up this man, I think it's something by the name of like Frank McGivern or something like that, and he had been a political prisoner years ago. And they went in and they reckoned that he was beat at least 60 times. They're not sure whether it was with sledges or what. But he died. Well, he obviously was dead. I would say the poor creature from it happened, but he officially was dead yesterday. There was like a memorial service outside his home in Belfast last night, and anybody that spoke about them, again, Gerry, I'm not bringing religion into it. I don't know what he was. I'm not sure what his neighbours are, but anybody that spoke about him could not speak highly enough of him. So the young men that carried out that attack on that young lad in Dublin are just as similar to the thugs that beat that man to death in Belfast.
Yes, it's certainly something. We've been united as an island for many years in violence. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was our first point of union.
Violence, it's an everyday occurrence now, and it's only the like of the papers, yourself, that highlights what is actually going on. And you say to yourself, what hope is there for young people? Even 10 years from now, if you're 20 now, in 10 years' time you're 30, what are you going to be like at 25 to 30 years of age? Are you still going out with baseball bats and beating people around the head? And just because they come from England over to Dublin on a St. Patrick's Day, just because they're English.
But you can imagine, I can actually, and I have no idea, because there's no photographs of what the reality is, but I have a very strong image in my mind of what these young fellas were like who attacked this young man after the parade. You can imagine what they were like.
Look,
I can see them with their, that senatorial haircut that comes down the forehead and the hoodie and the inability to speak. Let's call it. You don't look cool. You look like savages with your stupid haircuts and your stupid clothes and your inability to even speak.
Yeah, they're everywhere, Gerry.
I mean, they've now actually, they're like little mini cavemen. In fact, Neanderthal man had more going for him than these fellas.
Well, Gerry, there's an old saying. In every wee man, there's a big man trying to get out.
That's right.
And the sort of them boys that are on the streets in Dublin and terrorising people in Belfast in their own homes, that's exactly what they are.
And the fellas dragging fellas from cars in Finglas. Dragging, we can't say that we were horrified. I was thinking back about the 2 British soldiers who were dragged from the car. I remember after the funeral, many, many years ago, whatever your political belief at the time was, they were still 2 human beings dragged from the cars, stripped and stamped. We were all horrified by the images. And the image of the priest giving them the last rites as the crowd chanted and called to have them dismembered, literally. Right now, we were all horrified. I think every community was horrified by those images, regardless of your background or your political opinion or ambition. Now, we can't be horrified by that. We can't try and think that that's a separate sort of occurrence after what happened in Finglas,
Nothing has really changed. There is a thuggish element. I suppose in every city, in every town, there's a thuggish element.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, my heart goes out to that young cub, and hopefully he'll get home and get his life back on track. And as for the family of the man in Belfast, as I said, that I know absolutely nothing.
God help them.
It's tragic.
Well, I mean, that's not just a man gone, it's an entire family gone,
that's
really.
Exactly.
All right, Margaret, God bless you. Thank you. Gerard, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry. How are you?
Very well,
I feel awful after listening to that young man. Gosh, I feel worse now.
Yeah.
That he took it so well,
Oh, I know. Isn't that the embarrassing part?
I'm mortified. Anyway, look, I'll tell you what my point was when I spoke to your researcher earlier. It was just that I'm in and around the same age as yourself, but I remember well having 3 or 4 buddies going into town on a Saturday, and there was always that sinking feeling in the bottom of your stomach that you were going to be attacked. Now, this is when I was 17, a long time ago, and it 1 in 5 or 1 in 4 you would be going to discos. Like one time, Gerry, I remember this well, at a disco, these skinheads come in. Well, skinheads and suede heads were the order of the day.
I remember that. The
that was the uniform of the scumbag at the time. You call them what you like. They wore a uniform to be known as scumbags. Yeah. But they come in and they were throwing potatoes at people in the disco. And I thought, what's going on here? Next thing I see all this blood. They were putting broken razor blades into the potatoes to throw at people. And this was a standard thing in the street, by the way. You'd get a wallop of a potato in the back and you look down, it'd be full of razor blades. They didn't know you. It was just something to do. They did this. And I really think the Liberal agenda have a lot to answer for here. If you look at the hoodie gang outside a supermarket or something who aspire to nothing, they stand around and spitting, I think, is the is the maximum of their ability, And they get told then by somebody else that, well, it's society's fault, really it's not your fault. You don't have to try, you don't have to go to school, you don't have to perform, you don't have to compete. We look after you. That is what these people are being fed. These no-hopers or no-triers.
Yeah, but you know what? Parenting is a huge... I mean, you've got to have a sense of authority in the home. And if you don't have... If at home you've got... where you go? Because I'm out of it myself at the moment. If you've got that at home, what hope is the child? I mean, the child's living effectively rough with a lot of the parents now. Parents can't even look after themselves, much less the child.
Yeah, you're treading on really dangerous ground there, Gerry. If you start saying, as some people said to me recently, geez, you need a license to have a car, but any gobshite can have a child. Any gobshite. And there's no follow-up. And the state will do everything it has to help you have the child. And then you can ignore it and go to the pub and let the child raise itself. And guess what? You produce a monster.
I'm trying me best. I'm trying me best.
Yeah, you're ruining me, Buzz.
Yeah, man. I'll show you. Darren is after... I said, don't do that, Darren. Don't throw the petrol bomb at the supermarket, Darren. And I can't stop him.
the point is,
stop
it's been like that for years, hasn't it? I mean, seriously, I remember being a kid, we were attacked going to the cinema.
No, it's a very good point, Gerard.
Getting a taxi home, you were attacked. I mean, all the time. It didn't get as much coverage as it does now, but you were attacked all the time.
But there is, and it's a good point to make, because there is a tendency sometimes for us, particularly for fellas like me, to kind of sort of believe that the violence only started last year, but of course that's not the case. All right, thank you for your comments. Mary, good morning to you.
Morning, Gerry.
Is it Marie or Mary?
Marie.
All right, Marie. Sorry about that. Now, tell us what you saw.
Well, I was in Bray in County Wicklow on Monday evening with my 5-year-old son and my husband, just having a Patrick's Day down at the fair. Mm-hmm. And there was a crowd of girls, about 5 or 6 of them, following these Polish boys, and the language. I don't know if I'll repeat it, but screaming at them.
What were they screaming at them?
Well, come here, you Polish cunt, I'll take the head off you, you bollocks. And young girls, 14, 15, and I remember, first of all, thinking how horrendous girls...
Is that not just gay banter between two different ethnic groups?
Do you think? I remember, I grew up in Bray. I don't live in Bray anymore, but I grew up in Bray, and I never remember ever being afraid to be in Bray. But in the last 2 years, especially, every time I come into Bray, I feel I'm nervous. I can't.
Do you not remember the seafront riots in Bray? Remember they used to there was literally running attacks on groups of foreign students. I remember. Sure, that was part and parcel of Bray for a while.
I'm nearly 50. I'm talking 35 years ago when
this was a bunch of girls who were saying this to the Polish fellas. A bunch of young girls,
and they were making, I was saying to your researcher, they made some attempt at looking good because they had makeup on and they had earrings and, they had, but they looked like they hadn't put some effort into their appearance, and this one especially, kind of this overweight young girl was, come here, you Polish cunt, I'm going to show you. And they kept following them. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to the Polish boys. They were walking up ahead, but because we were heading back to the car, we were freezing and it was late and it was time to go home. And I remember thinking, geez, just ashamed, as that man was talking about. Ashamed. And I have a small business and I have Polish people working for me. Yeah. And I'll tell you this.
Do they speak about this? Because, ever since the Screwdriver murders, as they've now become known, I can't but believe that Lithuanians and Polish, and in fact any of the migrant workers who come to work so hard, in the mornings I often pass, for instance, the Point Villages that's going up there, and I know from talking to some of the guys who are working on that project, there are people, there are Sikhs working on it, there's Poles working on it, there's Latvians working there, and these fellas work exceptionally hard. And without these people, an awful lot of the things that we have done and achieved in this country just wouldn't be happening. They must be on the cusp of beginning to wonder why they're here.
Well, I can tell you, I couldn't run my business without the Polish.
And are they talking about this, Maria?
No, they don't talk to me about it. The traditionally, the people who work for me are women. And I tell you this much, Gerry, I'm 2 years in business and I have never been let down once by either a Polish, a Romanian or a Latvian. But I've been certainly let down badly by my Irish employees.
Don't tell me Darren let you down because he was feeling... Darren can't come in today because...
Yeah.
Well, he's, I don't know, but he's something.
I fired any of my foreign workers, but I fired some Irish people, and it makes me sad because, I suppose I grew up with a different work ethic. My parents certainly instilled it in me, and I see it in my nieces who are great little girls and who work, but I can't get reliable people from my own country.
Stay with me for a moment. Conor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Gerry. How are you?
I'm good. You're fed up.
Yeah, I'm worn out with the whole thing, to be honest with you. I think it's absolutely disgraceful what went on in Finglas and went on with that chap from England. I think it's time now to make the parents responsible now at this stage. You just know that the guys that did that were just minors, and if the parents were taking responsibility for them, they wouldn't be doing it. The parents just don't care. And it's time to either fine the parents or take the money directly from their wages if they have a wage, or to Social Security before they get it. And I think the parents will take a little bit more of an interest in their children then, instead of letting them run loose around the streets. Or either that or lock them up.
Lock up the parents?
Yep.
I believe that parents should be much more substantially involved in the whole process, particularly when children are caught in the commission of crime or in antisocial behaviour. Because I'm telling you, we all have children. I mean, I have 5 kids, right? And they're perfectly normal children, and they get up to good things and bad things, right? And you can celebrate the good things, but I also believe then you have to be part and parcel of the responsibility for the bad things that they do. And that means either fixing it up, redressing it, admitting culpability or failure on your behalf, taking part in redirecting them on the right path. Unfortunately, it seems to me, a huge number of parents who just can't do anything and then become hugely defensive if you say anything negative about their children.
I don't think it's a case of can't, I think it's a case they won't. They just don't care.
The kind of people I'm talking about, Conor. I'm talking about people who are basically only half a step above a crustacean. People who have almost no brain. The guys who basically they can manage to go to the toilet and put a slice of toast in their mouth, and that's about it.
I agree.
Ask them to do anything more than that, they're completely handicapped.
I agree, but at the end of the day, then they shouldn't be having children. If you have a licence to have a dog, you have a licence to have a child at that stage. The thing about it is that if they were taking responsibility, they would be taken out of the system.
Yes, I agree. There should be more. There should be what? I mean, I'm as frustrated as you are about this, and I'm deeply worried as well that there is a kind of. This is not rebellion. This is not revolution. This isn't, the inhabitants of Soweto railing against, the government or oppression. These are people who are just absolutely gone and who are entertained by violence, who are actually entertained by it.
They have money for drink and they have money for drugs, so where are they getting them from?
You and me.
Afternoons on 2FM, kicking off at midday with Nikki Hayes and her all-request lunch. That's 120 minutes of your music. You choose, we obey, and play. Be in with a chance of winning the biggest prizes on radio. Then at 2 p.m., Ricochet perks up your day with a box full of afternoon delights. Interviews from the biggest stars and bizarre topics to keep your brain in motion. Afternoons on 2FM. You work, we play. This is the Gerry Ryan Show on 2FM. Call 08457 585 285 from Northern Ireland.
What happened there? Something's happened to my headphones. Now they're working again. Now, are you all right here? You were a bit... Oh no, coughing.
Bit chesty.
The others are the best, aren't they?
Look.
Doesn't even start.
Straight in.
Fair play to you. That's why she'll get a prize one day. Is it going to be that the whole way through it, is it?
No, I'm sorry. I need a coffee. I haven't had anything to eat because I had a blood test this morning. So I had a
Why did you have a blood test?
On cholesterol. See how I'm getting on with it.
And what's it at now?
I don't know because I've just had it's not instant.
Is this your first?
Oh, God, no.
No?
No.
What was it the last time?
4.9, I think, last time.
That microphone's too far away.
But that's when I did the mad pistachio nuts thing. Do you remember that?
Oh, trying to bring it down by using 4.9 is not bad.
By the way,
4.9 is not the end of the world.
Oh no, 4.9 is perfect. Which, by the way, if people are in the business of trying to naturally bring down their cholesterol, there's a lot of studies suggest that pistachio nuts are really good. Don't do it if you've got high blood pressure as well because they're salted. But I brought mine down with pistachio nuts.
Tablets.
I don't know.
No, well, I mean, I know, yes, you and tablets, I know all about that. Yeah. But really, most high cholesterol is, in fact, genetically inherited.
It is, unfortunately, yeah.
And tablets are really the only lads that'll have a crack at that.
Well, ultimately, but you don't want, like, if you're me and you're only, 25...
I did have a bit of a moment last night,
actually. This is the first time I've ever done that. It's really pathetic that I've lied about my age. Go on.
When I was taking my cholesterol tablets as opposed to my pistachio nuts, I sat there, I was getting ready to watch the director's cut of Blade Runner. Don't bother, folks. It's beautifully restored, but Harrison Ford's commentary is gone. Ridley Scott is a bastard, basically. That's what I decided after last night. Now, so I'm saying, must take my cholesterol medicine, okay? Open thing. Cholesterol tablet. G. Ryan's taking it at night time when you make your cholesterol. It's all very good.
Didn't know that.
What am I washing it down with? Jameson Gold.
Yeah, well, there's no cholesterol in that.
No, you're
good
right.
Man.
Well done. That's why she's my pal. Too much earwax, frequent yawning, a gurgling tummy. We've all noticed things about our bodies that are annoying, weird, and sometimes downright embarrassing. There was no need to put that noise. I'm sure there wasn't.
You know what? It made me laugh, which is quite depressing.
But while these signs are often harmless, in some cases they may signal something more serious. A new book reveals the real meanings of these niggling little symptoms. Fiona Looney's been frightening the life out of herself with it.
And now it's your turn. Because wait till you hear some of these.
Will I be frightened by this stuff?
Well, you know, this is one of these
on
books.
Holy Thursday.
On Holy Thursday. This is one of these books that you pick up thinking it's going to say very runny nose. And you think, oh yeah, I have a very runny nose. That probably just means that you run around too much or you sometimes suffer with the cold. And then you kind of read it and no, it actually means that you've got the Ebola virus or... No, it doesn't obviously.
No, vomito negro would mean you had the Ebola virus.
And so this is all. Some of this is kind of depressing, and some of it is really downright scary. And actually, I've just remembered look at your brief there. I know you're talking about your briefs there.
Hair, eyes, ears.
See the very last bit.
Rude bits.
Forgot when I was doing this. Think that the kids are off school. Remember the kids are off school. Might want to leave that out.
Children will not be frightened by scrotal swelling. It doesn't actually say that here. But it is an issue, apparently, in the sort of symptoms.
Look at the next one. Don't read it out, but look at it.
Oh, God. That wouldn't be good. Now, but I will say two words, though, that will appeal to younger listeners. Excessive farting. Can there be such a thing if you are a 10-year-old boy?
And you know what? Like, excessive farting, again, I kind of thought, this just means that you eat a lot of vegetables and sure, you're dead healthy. But there is, I'm trying to find it now, excessive farting. You see, I have to go through prolonged penile discharge first.
Prolonged penile discharge?
Frequent farting. Right, okay. First of all, I know a bit about this.
Sorry, I have a bit of a cold. Great name for a band, though. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome on stage prolonged penile discharge.
There's a great line in this book. Listen to this. When the gas escapes through the mouth, as most of it does, it's a burp. But when the gas is expelled through the anus, it's a fart.
That's
Just in
for
case
sure.
You were unsure
That's
about
for
that.
sure.
Right, here's the facts. This is what you need to know. Most people fart on average once an hour. I think I would be slightly making up for the ones who maybe don't manage it quite once an hour.
But you're a lady.
I know, but I eat a lot of vegetables.
But do you make...
and I eat very fast.
SPDs are...
Oh, of course. No, sorry. No, the other ones.
Noisers.
Sometimes. But no, it's all very...
Noisers and smellers.
No, I don't make the smellers. I'm a lady. My own flavor.
Are you a duvet douser?
No, I'm not. I'd be more of a... I'll just go out and walk the dog. I maybe sometime.
Yeah. That's right. Who said that? He was in an igloo.
Yeah.
Phone us now, 1850 715.
You could have won a car if you'd known that.
Yeah, if you'd known that.
So once an hour is average, and you produce, believe it or not, between 1 and 3 pints of gas a day.
Really?
Yeah, which is quite a lot, I would have thought.
So that would be contributing quite a bit to the old... something or other.
The old methane.
The thing.
The layer, the problem, yeah.
Global warming.
Actually, yeah, that's probably my fault.
Well, I mean, global warming is hugely affected by the farts of cows.
That's true, particularly in New Zealand for some reason. Smelly farts, if you're interested, do indicate that you've been eating sulphurous foods like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, onions, garlic, eggs.
Fiona, would it be useful, given that the children could be on holidays, would it be useful to invite boys and girls, because we live in a non-differentiation,
to fart at will,
to come on the air and do farts, and we might give a prize.
Yeah, it's Holy Thursday, I believe.
1850 715 922. If you're a young person and you would like to win a prize by doing the best fart during Fiona's time on the programme, which is 22 minutes, phone us now, 1850.
Does it have to be a real fart?
No, you can make it up.
But you can't use the internet, right? No, it has to be you. It has to be self-generated.
It has to be
no technology.
No technology. Self-generated farts, and there's going to be a prize for the best one on 1850 715 922.
If you do fart too much, it can be a sign you're lactose intolerant, or it can be an indication of some serious gastric conditions like gallstones, IBS, what would that be? Irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah.
Or IBD.
Which I have.
Of course you have.
What's
IBD? Irritable bowel disorder, I presume.
Irritable bowel disorder. Have you ever been, generally, to be honest, farting at will, particularly as you get older, something that you just do?
And it's lovely, isn't it?
Well, it's nice. Have you ever been with somebody, though, who you really didn't want to hear hear you farting?
No, I haven't, because as you know, ladies are actually very good at controlling it, much better than men. I mean,
is
I
that
have
pelvic
been,
floor sort of stuff?
I don't know, but because even before, I wouldn't. I can.
But would you try if
I'd
you
never
were with,
do it here now.
For instance,
I could.
Who's
but
your
I wouldn't.
current fantasy? Brad Pitt, or who would it be?
George Clooney.
George Clooney. All right, you're at lunch with George Clooney.
Yeah.
Small little table.
Yeah.
Close proximity.
Would never happen. Neither the lunch nor the fart.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, no, I can completely control that. But I have been on kind of first dates with men who weren't so blessed and
farted.
And dreadful.
And did it make an impact on you?
Absolutely.
And did they say anything like, sorry about that?
Yeah. Oh.
Shouldn't have had that last point.
Now, orange stools.
And by the way, lads, when you go into the bathroom, putting on the tap doesn't mask the farting noise.
Though lighting a match does.
Does it?
Ironically,
that's the smell.
The sulphur eradicates the sulphurous smell. I don't know why, but it does. So
you just burn it up. Work. It's methane. You're burning it.
Yeah. But yeah, coming out and saying, I'd give it 10 minutes if I were you, is never a plan. That's not the greatest aphrodisiac in the world. No,
she may just say, I'm going out for some time.
Or as a mutual friend of ours, a male friend, used to say, when he was in the pub, he'd disappear for a while and then he'd come back and he'd say to the other lads, I'd steer clear of trap 3 for a while if I were you.
And there's no doubt about it, the stout does it. It really does.
Yeah, it's very good for you, though, in moderation. Yeah. Now, noticing that your stools are orange can be quite disquieting, I'll say.
Well, you know that for quite a period of poor old King George's life, where the royal physicians were relying exclusively on an examination of his stools. Apparently,
that's right.
It was a...
They were blue or something. Yeah. No, his urine was blue.
What did he have? He had
a kidney disorder.
Wonky's disease or something.
Yeah.
That made him just go mad.
That is the scientific name for it, I believe. Wonky's disease.
Did you ever watch The Madness of King George? Wasn't it desperately sad, wasn't it? The poor man, the terrible things they did to him.
But he gets over it in the end.
He does, and he runs after very glamorous women and is allowed to get at them.
I've probably told you this before, but a small piece of movie trivia. You know that
Captain Lawrence Oates, apparently it was, who said, I'm going outside and I may be some time.
Yeah.
Fell in Titus? Titus what?
Titus disease, is it the King George thing? It's something like Titus and Nat's chuff
thing in winter.
Yeah. No, I've lost my train of thought now. I'm still back in the orange.
Titus Oates. Well, the scholar in CBS in Kilkenny is the man we're attributing our...
Oh no, Lawrence! It's Lawrence Oates.
It's definitely Lawrence
Oates. Captain Lawrence Oates. I know everything about him. Yeah. Fathered a child with a 13-year-old girl. Not good.
13-year-old girl on the ice cap, was it?
No, it was under the water. No, it was a seal that he buggered on the ice cap. I forgot.
That's worse than killing the seal. I took a dog do snow cone and I stuck it in his left eye.
I got the seal in the club. Yeah, no, he wasn't great. Oh, Lawrence Oates,
really well. I mean,
kind of abandoned the girl. I can't remember the details.
Did he marry her?
No. I don't think so. I think he abandoned her, but there's some Irish connection. Either she was Irish or the child she had was obviously adopted or something.
How do you know this about this man?
I know a lot about him because I actually, when I was working for the BBC...
Oh, when you were in England.
I used to do a thing where we did blue plaques and we'd go around and talk about the person's life that was commemorating the blue plaque, and he was one of them. And I just remember, because obviously you don't forget fathering a child with a 13-year-old girl. What are you looking at?
I'm looking at, are you still in your St. Patrick's Day outfit? You've got a green pendant and a green top on.
And I've
You're more green than blonde.
I haven't been home yet. I'm still out drowning.
Did you realise that elephants weren't allowed walk in Limerick in the St. Patrick's Day because they hadn't got their shoes with them?
Do you know what? That's the second reference to elephants that I've heard in 2 days. Ronan Collins, who, as we all say, there's no show like a row show, who plays the most amazing music, as you know.
Yes, I agree with you entirely, yeah.
Fabulous music. He played a song yesterday, Glenn Curtin. Now, I didn't remember Glenn Curtin recording this, but I do remember an earlier version, Me and the Elephant. Do you remember that song?
No.
Worst song ever written. It is unbelievable. Do you know what? It's almost worth trying to find it.
And was it a bit of a me and you and a dog named Blue, except
very
substitute
similar.
elephant?
Yeah, it's very similar, but it's all kind of... remember when we were in love and we took a trip to the city zoo to see how all the animals were doing, and it's and the monkeys were scratching and the somethings and all this. So it's kind of a mixture of the lions and tigers, monkeys and, the unicorn thing. It's like a cross between that and me and you and a dog called Boo. Then she leaves him and it's, so we went back to the city zoo to see how they were all doing. Well, the monkeys had forgotten you, the lions had too. Me and the elephant, can't sing, we'll never forget you. I started that way too low. I'm ashamed of myself now. It's the worst song ever written. Even when it's sung properly. See Golden P below.
Golden
Jesus.
P.
Jesus.
Golden P, texture like sun.
Sorry.
What does golden pea mean? Tell me. But surely all pea is golden, is it not?
Well, only the very expensive stuff. Only the stuff you have to pay for. Your urine, coloured urine. Oh, God, pink urine. No. Pea, green pea.
Green.
Purplish pea. Oh, Jesus.
I presume none of them are good.
No. And you see, this is all, I was really hoping that I'll say, sure, it just means you're great crack and you've had a big drink of something orange. But frequently, okay, well, we do golden pea because it's here. Yep. It's a medical condition called scanty urine or oliguria. It's an important clue of dehydration.
Yeah.
And it could mean you're taking in large amounts of beta carotene from foods or supplements. Or you could be on warfarin or cancer drugs.
Okay, right. Well, what about purple wee? What does that mean?
Purple wee.
Wee. Purple wee.
Oh, listen.
What?
This is actually a symptom of porphyrias, right? Which was very common in some European royal families. So
really?
That's probably the thing. That's what we were talking about.
So what does it say? Does it give details of the symptoms?
Well, purple wee. Dark red or purplish urine is the hallmark of a rare group of usually inherited blood disorders called porphyrias. Thank you.
That's what the old king had.
And
porphyria.
Porphyria. Is that what it was?
I think so.
And it ranges from light sensitivity and rashes to severe abdominal pain, mental confusion, epileptic seizures, and even paralysis.
And chasing birds.
And there you were just thinking that it was strange stuff. Bloodshot eyes. Like that can actually mean that you have rosacea. No, rosacea.
Yeah. We'll take a break. What happened there? That's broken, is it? No, break won't work. Look, spell it out.
I don't know. I've moved beyond that. Growths on your eyelid.
Growths on your eyelid
can be markers of high levels of bad cholesterol. But I don't have them, so that's a good sign, isn't it?
I've no growths on my eyelids either.
Well, that's because you're drugged up to the eyeballs. Excessive earwax.
Excessive earwax. What's that?
That's a weird one.
I have some earwax in my left ear,
but not in your right one.
No.
That could mean that you've a little bit of infection because it should be even.
Should it?
Yeah. You better go to the doctor again.
What?
It may indicate your diet is too low in fat. Doubt that's true. You may also be overzealously cleaning out your ears. You should never, as a doctor said to me when I had the child,
don't be at their ears.
You should never stick anything smaller than your elbow in your ear.
Smaller than your elbow?
Yeah.
What about your finger?
No, never stick your finger in your ear. Obviously don't stick your elbow in your ear either because that would be impossible. But,
if anybody can stick their elbow in their ear, they get a prize. Phone us now on 18...
Has to be your own elbow.
Has to be your own elbow.
And it can't be a prosthetic.
Yeah. Are we getting any farting? Yeah.
Have we loads of farting?
Well, are we going to hear it? Good. What's all that about?
I don't know.
They're holding back on the farting there, are they? I'd say it's the biggest item on the programme so far, is it?
They're teasing us.
A cacophony of farting. A cacophony, I think.
Put them up. How many phone lines have you got? 5?
We've got 4.
Put 4 up at the same time and see if you can get a harmony thing going on.
Yeah, somebody did make a record. Was it farting or under armpit noises that they were using?
Oh, my son's very good at the all under armpits thing.
Yeah.
Really good. He wanted to get into the Guinness Book of Records for that.
Really?
Yeah, and he is genuinely good at it, but it's kind of frenzied. It's not controlled, it's a bit mad. But there's nothing to beat that really. Hearing your heartbeat when you lie down.
Oh, I get that sometimes. What does that
as well. Believe it or not, you would never in a million years actually guess what this is. It's tinnitus. Nothing to do with your heart at all. It's your ears, not your heart. The problem is.
Because I'm always convinced that, my stress levels have gone into orbit, right?
You
Not
must
unusual
go to
for
bed
G.
every
Ryan.
night or you must wake up in the morning astonished that you've woken
Pretty
up at all.
much astonished that
Yeah.
I'm still alive, yeah.
Yeah. And slightly disappointed?
Well, no, be fairly happy about being woken up, the challenges of the day that face me. But usually quite amazed that I haven't expired in the night.
Yeah. You're prepared to drop
I've a
at
selection.
any point.
Like, for instance, I have chest pains at the moment.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Anyway, that's tinnitus.
I could go any minute.
Actually, look, we could all go any minute. Clicking jaw. I have that sometimes in the gym and I never understand why. And I sometimes think it's because I wear headphones when I'm in the gym. But I'm always conscious of that kind of there.
What does it say? What's clicking jaw?
It says that it's a common symptom of the common condition, temporomandibular joint disorder, an inflammation of the joint that connects the lower jaw to the skull.
My God.
Other signs may include ringing or pain in the ears and sensitive teeth. I don't suffer from that.
Would you say, Fiona, that fella there has it?
Oh, that's so wrong. Put up the farters. Oh dear.
Here we go.
Mouth.
Put on your headphones. We're starting off with a girl. To prove the girls can do it too. Emer, who's 10. Good morning, Emer.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Say hello to Fiona.
Hello.
Hi, Emer.
Are you going to fart for us?
Yeah.
Off you go. That was very good.
It was good.
Do it again.
Very good. And what I like about it, Emer, is it kind of sounds like a boy fart.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's not one of these lady bippers, these little type ones, which we're not interested in them today. That's very good. Very good start.
Well done, Emer.
Thank you.
Where are you phoning from? Where are you farting from?
Glasnevin.
Glasnevin. Okay, excellent.
Glasnevin, currently top of the league of farting
Top of the league. Well done.
areas.
Congratulations. Yeah. Hold, Emery, will you stay there because we're going to try and fart a song together, okay?
Okay.
In a minute, so don't go away. Alex, good morning. Alex is 10 as well. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good man. Did you hear Emer's fart there?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
It was kind of good.
Yeah, well, it was kind of good. I
Well,
thought.
mine was better.
Okay, well, let's hear it
think.
then. Let's hear it, buddy.
Okay.
How did you do that, Alex?
Don't know, just keep practicing.
Good idea.
It's
Wet me on.
You're using your arm.
Yeah.
What part of your arm?
Just blowing it.
Oh,
on my
right,
arm.
yeah. Blowing onto your arm. Do it again.
That's very
good.
That's very good. And it sounds like there's a poo coming out at the end of it and
Yeah,
everything.
be careful with that.
Ew.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well done, Alex. You stay there as well, okay? Because we're going to try and fart a song at the moment, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Oren, who's 5. He's our youngest farter so far. Oren, good morning.
Hi, my name is Oren and I'm 5 and I want to do a fart on the radio.
Good man, Oren.
Off you go. That was excellent.
Beautiful.
Wasn't it?
It's a beautiful fart, Oren.
Oren,
Thank you.
is that the first fart you did today?
No.
When was your first fart?
When I woke up.
Ah, good man.
Good lad. Well done.
It's as it should be.
Now, I'm very impressed. That's fantastic. Now, Oren, stay there. Emer, Alex. Let's try and fart a song. Anybody got any suggestions as to what song we should all fart together?
That's Alex, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good man, Alex. What was that?
I was doing ABC.
Oh, ABC.
Yeah, now.
The alphabet, yeah.
Oh, I tell you what. Do you all know the Barney song? I love you, you love me.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah? Should we try that?
Yeah.
Do we all know that? Okay, let's
Yeah.
start off. Fiona, will you start us off with it?
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful.
That was fantastic.
Beautiful. Very
Actually,
moving.
I mistakenly, though, found myself doing knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone for some bizarre reason there. I don't know why that happened. All right. Oren, well done. Congratulations, Emer and Alex. I think they were so good that they're all getting prizes. Woo! We don't know what the prizes are yet, but we're going to work on it, okay?
Yeah.
Stay on the line and we'll take your fart addresses, okay?
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Oh, lovely.
Now, and they say that young people are not learning or engaging because of
Exactly.
the Wii and the Nintendo and the PlayStation and the Xbox.
There was a danger of a Wii there at one point,
there
I
was,
thought.
yeah. Now, that there are people who are not. They're not locked up in front of a PlayStation all day long. Sure, they're not.
No, they're not. Prematurely grey. Again, you just think, I'm just prematurely grey because I'm just so loaded with dark colours and things. But it actually indicates a reduction of red blood cells, which can be caused by the body's inability to absorb vitamin B12, and it can also be a warning sign of what would you like? What would you like for prematurely grey? How about diabetes and coronary heart disease? See?
That's enough to keep you going, isn't it?
It's a very good book, this, actually, in some ways, if a little
Can I
slightly
just
scared.
orange poo?
Orange poo. Do you desperately want to ask about the one that we can't mention? Because I just think that's the scariest thing. The one after scrotal swelling on the list.
I know.
I'll tell you what that means later.
Okay.
In fact, I'll do an examination.
Thank
and
you.
just check that you're all right on that.
No greater.
Hold on, now I have to go through
no
greasy.
greater love. No greater love.
Exactly. I have to go through slimy stools, floating feces, greasy, smelly stools, pale poop, black tarry stools. Where's the orange stools?
Orange stools.
It can be a common reaction to the drug rifampin, which is used to treat certain bacterial infections, including TB. So orange stools could mean you've got TB.
But that it's being treated.
Yeah, on a brighter note, it could actually mean that you are eating too many orange-coloured foods and having a bit of trouble digesting them. This would be carrots, mangoes, sweet potatoes, apricots and pumpkins.
Now, listen, you know we've been discussing ladies trying on underwear.
I'm aware of that.
That's been worn by another lady earlier on.
Yeah, not great.
You wouldn't be up for that, no, sure you wouldn't?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. Well, we did get a statement from TK Maxx. I'll just read it out. Because they were at the centre of this controversy. And somewhere, here we are. Now, Zubar Patel.
Yeah.
From TK Maxx had this to say.
A drink there.
Underwear, like everything else, can be tried on in the fitting rooms. It can be tried on against bare flesh. If it isn't purchased, it is then returned to the shelf if it's in the same condition that it left our fitting room.
Oh, no. Not good.
Now, it mightn't have been his greatest moment. So I have another statement from TK Maxx.
Yeah.
In relation to our earlier statement from TK Maxx, we have just received a call from Victoria Wright, Public Relations Manager of TK Maxx. I understand you spoke to a member of staff in one of our stores about our refund policy and was given some incorrect information. Poor El Zuber. To avoid disappointing our customer in Ireland, I would like to clarify what our recently updated refund policy is. We are happy to give refunds on items as long as they are unused and returned within 14 days along with a receipt. For safety and hygiene reasons, we are unable to refund or exchange cosmetics, underwear, hosiery, swimwear and earrings. This is in line with other retailers and follows extensive customer feedback. Should the item be faulty in any way, your statutory rights remain unaffected. Regarding the trying on of underwear,
cut to the chase.
There should be signs in changing rooms stating that undergarments can be tried on, but only over existing undergarments. I hope this clarifies.
But sure, then how would you know whether they're going to... I mean, that's mad. How can you say, will these do the trick?
Listen, let's be honest about it. The only time that you'd be trying on underwear over underwear is when you're nicking it.
When you're nicking it or when you're turning into Superman. They are the only two times.
Superman. It took you to remind us of that.
2FM. Hello?
Hello.
It's Mr. Gaffier's aunt from Ireland. Yes.
Apologies, Mum. You will not believe what your nephew has done. I found him stopping the delivery to Kenco. He didn't understand they use the same high-quality Arabica beans in their instant coffee as in their roast and ground to ensure a fantastic taste. If only your nephew shared your knowledge, Mum. And your timing.
Kenco. Coffee without compromise.
TV licence, Inspector.
This is our holiday home.
Still, you need a separate licence for the TV here.
We don't have a TV. We're very outdoorsy, you know. Hill walking, canoeing, sky gliding, surfboarding.
Wow, sounds great.
Oh yeah, good to get away, you know yourself.
And if it rains?
We pretty much stay in and watch TV.
Damn.
TV licence inspectors visit 18,000 homes, holiday homes and businesses every month. We've heard all the excuses and none of them work. Now you can pay online at tvlicence.ie, at the post office, or local 1890 228 528.
If he had gone this time last year, he would have been the best manager never to have won a World Cup, but he didn't. He stayed on the extra mile and got the new contract. And I know that feeling. And then it all went horribly wrong. Namibia, Georgia, France, Argentina, and now the Six Nations. And the lowest result after 9 years of success and 3 triple crowns. So what will the history books write about Eddie O'Sullivan? And who will succeed him? Tom McGurk's on the line now to digest these things and more besides. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Gerry.
Now, it was a golden era. I think he stayed too long, but it was that difficult third album. He shouldn't have made it, but it's very difficult to resist.
It's a very short life.
Yep.
It's not far from being a rock and roll star.
Yep.
Except a rock and roll star has enough money to surround himself with idiots to tell them lies all the time. And Eddie was surrounded by a very critical press. It's amazing to think this time last year we just narrowly lost the Six Nations by a fraction of a points difference to France, and here we are, Eddie on the way out.
I'm just looking at the numbers, in fact. Ireland's win-loss ratio in the Six Nations during Eddie O'Sullivan's tenure remains second only to France's.
Yeah, the most successful coach ever. But, and it's a huge but, he really was the first coach in the professional era. That's an entirely different thing to coaches in the amateur era. The game went professional in 96. Everything before and after that line are entirely different. As Eddie indeed is now discovering. And the curious thing about professional sport, and this spreads into soccer and other places, the more successful you are, the less chance you have of survival, because the appetite for success is insatiable. How Alex Ferguson has gone on and on and on. Of course, he has a huge checkbook and he can buy anybody he wants.
He's also got literally thousands of fellas all around the world to choose from with his big checkbook, which of course somebody like Eddie O'Sullivan doesn't have.
That's true. It is a big defining moment. I think Eddie O'Sullivan deserves enormous praise. He brought huge professionalism to Irish rugby. He was a very original thinker. He brought some of the ethos of American football into the Irish camp. The way they train, the way they organise diet, the way they organise their sleep patterns. He produced the most professional athletes, the fittest athletes, and psychologically the best prepared athletes we'd ever seen in this country. And if other coaches can rise to those standards, they'll be very good. Now, what happened? Now, is it a fact that at the professional level, at the game with such demands, that really players only have, and coaches, 3, 4, 5 years? Can they fly that high for that long? Look at Brian O'Driscoll dipping. Look at Gordon Darcy dipping. None of us have been here before because the game was never professional before, and we're all making up as we go along and all discovering by results. Has the game shrunken that players can only survive 3, 4 and 5 years at that level?
But let's look at the difference between the players and the coach. I believe that in rugby, anyway, particularly in rugby, it doesn't seem to be as bad in soccer. Or indeed, maybe in the Gaelic sports there are more comparisons, but in rugby, the level of physical endurance, the conversion in your metabolism of your energy, of your intake into energy, and then of course the ghost in the machine, injury, is just it just seems to be squashing that lifespan ever more. Now, that's a different thing for the fellow who's on the sideline, or is it?
Could you imagine being hit by a man of 19 stones travelling at 10.3 for the 100 yards and getting up and being hit 4 or 5 more times?
Yeah.
And coming off a pitch having carried off 20 or 30 or even 40 tackles? It's phenomenal. And I know one surgeon in England last year said the sort of injuries he was now seeing in rugby union, particularly to ankles, to shoulders, to the joints, were only equivalent to car crash.
Yeah.
He said these were car crash injuries. The only other place he saw these were fellas coming off motorbikes or people coming out of car crashes. Yeah. He'd never seen these in the world of sport before. We're straying slightly off, Eddie.
No, but that explains why I believe, and you're quite correct in the rock star analogy, why the lifespan may be 2 or 3 albums, and that's about it for the player. But the manager, the coach, should not have to go through, though some of them will have gone through some of this already, should not have the same difficulties, but maybe there's an equivalent in the manager's world.
There may be. You see, you can't really compare with GAA and soccer because a rugby coach has such a huge impact on the game. You know yourself in playing the game, when the out half gets the ball, he has 4 or 5 different options. Now, what he does and when he does it and how he does it are critical. It's more and more, rugby's become like a game of chess. It's become an intensely complex game. And, you know, they spend a week looking at the video of the opposition. They examine it for hours and hours and hours. Each player is examined. I mean, it is at an absolutely 100% analytical level. And when all of that is finished, the coach has to sit down and say, okay, we do this, and we do that, and we do that. And if that happens, we do this. Now, if he gets that wrong, they're looking for his head. And there's all other factors going on, of course. There's also another factor which I think we don't take into account. I think it's cabin fever. Could you imagine? I mean, these are bright, intelligent guys, 20 or 30 of them stuck in a hotel for 4 or 5 or 6 weeks.
Not allowed to do anything. And particularly under Eddie O'Sullivan's reign.
They can't go out and get drunk. They can't go. They can't. I mean, very hard to escape. You can only watch so much afternoon television.
And there's no birds coming up to the bedroom. You're pulling your own house, your father there, because I can tell you it's a very strict regime.
No. And also within the group, unlike I think professional footballers, there's an ethos that everyone would let everybody else down. There's a very close bond. I mean, can you imagine what a group of players they are? Not one of them has set anything out of water, despite all the pressure O'Sullivan's been under, despite all the pressure that came out of the World Cup, despite a huge press pack looking for information. Not one of them has issued a single word. That is quite remarkable.
And that's out of respect for him and also out of respect for the collegiate of... Now, you mentioned...
Respect for themselves, too.
Yeah. You mentioned that he was the first national coach within the professional era, and of course...
Really speaking,
And I believe that to be quite significant as well. And somebody said to me yesterday, said, well, what schools or what offices or what training grounds are there comparable sort of jobs? And I said, I suppose the officers training in the Curragh or Sandhurst. And they were saying, what do you mean by that? I said, well, battle. It's a battle. It's a highly sophisticated battle where you're trained to do certain things. But like all battles, in the smoke and the fog of battle, odd things can happen. And odd things started happening to Eddie O'Sullivan.
But what's also fascinating is because there's so much physical contact, Gerry, it also requires huge mental preparation. I mean, Brent Pope always says to us on the panel that half the game is in the head. Yeah. Half of it is in your mental outlook, your levels of confidence.
And was he a smart man? Is Eddie O'Sullivan a smart man? And
He's a hugely smart man. He was very innovative. He came up with all sorts of things. He reached for standards of professionalism that nobody's ever reached for. He made demands in players they couldn't believe. And also, and this may have been one of his problems, he became the complete boss. He eventually surrounded himself with all of his people, and he made all the decisions. There was nobody he could bounce off and say, nobody could come up to Eddie and say, look, I think we have it wrong there. That I know of anyway. I mean, you look at other people who tried to go in there. Declan Kidd was in there very briefly. Apparently they may not have spoken a word. Other senior people were in there and left very quickly. Eddie wanted his team. He did it his way. I mean, he did it his way. And coming out of the World Cup, that first press conference we had going into the Six Nations, a huge hostile press room saying to him, you don't bring the subs on early enough. This is the same bloody team. Who are these people who can't be sacked? And he looked at us all and he said, I do it my way. Now, to give him his due, he did it his way and he lost. And at the end, with enormous dignity, he gave up the ghost last night. And We were avoided the terrible spectacle you had with the whole sacking of the Irish manager stuff.
Now, he has grown in this incredibly accelerated period of time. I mean, it's like they're going at 5 times our normal speed. Their lives are being lived. The entire Irish national squad. They're hugely faster than real life, to be honest. So that means that the team has gotten older. Maybe some of them are brightest stars are past their best by date. But this is going to be an enormous issue for whoever steps into his shoes.
You couldn't have said it better. There is a real defining moment here. And you know from talking to me over the years on the programme, I've been hugely concerned about the future, because I think the professional game has shrunken the game rather than expanded it. Eddie's generation, the golden generation, is actually the last generation to come out of the amateur era. Is there another generation? There's young Carney, there's young Fitzgerald, there's 3 or 4 others. The under-20s got hammered by Scotland, they got hammered by England. Is there another generation coming down the line? That's only the first problem. The second problem is finding somebody. We are in the middle of the season. Normally these decisions are made at the end of the season. When you hit June, it's the end of the season in the Northern Hemisphere, beginning of the season in the Southern Hemisphere. So what may happen, I suspect, is Ireland have a match against the Barbarians at Gloucester. It's some sort of a fundraiser. And then there's a 2-match tour down in Australia. They go down to New Zealand and Australia. Imagine that, Gerry, flying to New Zealand and get beaten up by the All Blacks and flying back again. That's the game of professional rugby. Anyway, they might put in a caretaker to take them to that point and then sit down in the middle of the summer and have a look, because not only is a new manager, a coach, he's going to have to appoint a whole backroom team of 4 or 5 or 6 people. So it is them.
Have you any name in mind? I see Paddy Power's giving odds of 7-2 for Declan Kidney. I wouldn't bet on that.
They're all. I mean, all people are doing, and he's just putting down the list of names of people who happen to be available now. Declan Kidney. Would Declan Kidney take it?
I don't think he would. And I mean,
would he take it?
He had a significant role to play. I'm not so sure what his relationship with Eddie was. I don't believe it was a particularly valuable one. And I think a lot of people would say much of what was, excellent in Irish rugby in the last decade emanated from. Came from his teams. I don't think the relationship with himself and O'Sullivan was a good one, though. Does that mean anything?
I don't know. I mean, I think Declan Kidney would be loath. I mean, look how unhappy he was when he came to Leinster. Munster is the womb. They do it from down there. And would all the Munster players want Declan to come up and take over the Irish team? If they're tired of listening to Eddie's voice for 5 or 6 years, are they tired of listening to Declan's voice? Then you go outside of Ireland. I mean, there's Pat Howard, who was a huge successful coach with Leicester. Will they bring in him? He's gone back to New Zealand. There's Jake Smith, the guy who won the World Cup at the All-Wolf with South Africa. But beware of bringing in foreigners to lead the Irish. I mean, Brian Ashton was a disaster. They had to get rid of Warren Gatland. We're a difficult bunch to live with here. And it's not quite easy to bring a foreigner in to understand the culture that goes on here. It's not that simple. So it's a hugely difficult decision.
But as we wait for that decision, I think it would be fair to say, I said it this morning, we should be gracious and grateful in his leave taking. He was as good as it got in his time.
I tell you, when we walked out of Croke Park after hammering England, Eddie was next for the Irish.
You better believe it. Tom McGurk, we will talk again. God bless you.
Indeed, sir.
And have a good Easter.
Will do. Bye.
That's Tom McGurk there, and we are closing the door on the National Irish coaching life of Eddie O'Sullivan. Don't forget, though, he still has a wealth of experience and talent and skill to bring to some other team. It may not be a national team, but certainly his days as a coach will not be over or finished or gone. What does he get out of it? Funny, you'll never know, because the details of his contract, I would imagine, are highly confidential. Somebody's suggesting 1 million. I doubt it's as much as that. I'd say it's about a year's salary with a couple of extra bits and pieces, probably in or around about between 350 and $500,000. That's what I'd say. Is that a good payoff for what he gave this country? I would say no.